Welcome to the Botanical Medicine Study course and the Herb of the Week. My name is Stephanie Georgiev, and I am your host and instructor for the course that will begin in early 2023. If you would like a free introductory lesson for the course, send me an email and I will give you the link to download the video and get the handouts. At the time of this recording, as well as posting, we are in December, which for most of the world is the lead up to Christmas. There are so many associations with Christmas, and obviously there are specific herbs and spices which we seem to indulge in more generously at this time than other times of the year. We who celebrate Western Christmas are in the home stretch, so to speak, and this week's Herb of the Week, while enjoyed all year long in food, teas, and as medicine, has a special affinity for Christmas, particularly with Western European and North American celebrations. That herb is ginger. I personally love ginger in any form you can imagine, sweet or savory. I always have a fresh ginger root in my fridge, which I use for stir fry, to add to teas and soups and such. I also keep powdered ginger in my spice cabinet, and when I can find it, candied ginger. Sometimes I also keep pickled ginger, the kind used for sushi, and I also really enjoy this with sushi, and I do snack on it just by itself. After our exploration of ginger, I hope you will keep in your kitchen and medicine cabinet well stocked with this delicious and healing herb. Ginger seems to be more popular in the lead up to Christmas, mainly because of gingerbread. The cookies, as well as gingerbread houses, are synonymous with Christmas, particularly in the Germanic countries, as well as in the United Kingdom. I've put a link to a delightful video called Making Medieval Gingerbread on the YouTube channel Tasting History with Max Miller. I encourage you to watch it. It's fun, informative, and really gives a full picture of gingerbread. The botanical name for ginger is a fantastic Scrabble word if you ever need it. Gingerbread officinale. Ginger is in the family of Gingerberaceae. The English name of this family is the ginger family, which also includes different plants such as turmeric, which is called curcuma longa, cardamom, Elateria cardamomum, and galangal. Ginger originated in the maritime Southeast Asia and was likely domesticated first by the Austronesian peoples. It was transported with them throughout the Indo-Pacific during the Austronesian expansion, which started in 5,000 years before the current era, reaching as far as Hawaii. Ginger is one of the first species to have been exported from Asia, arriving in Europe with the spice trade, and was used by ancient Greeks and Romans. The distantly related dicots in the genus Ascarum are commonly called wild ginger because of their similar taste. Ginger became naturalized in America after the Columbian voyage, and that famous Francisco de Mendoza transplanted ginger from the East Indies, where it was cultivated quite successfully. So that in 1547, 1,235 tons of ginger was exported from the New World to Europe. Now that's a lot of ginger. Its spicy aroma is mainly due to the presence of ketones, especially the gingerols, which appear to be the primary component of ginger, studied in much of the health-related scientific research. The rhizome, which you see in this diagram and you buy in the market, is actually a horizontal stem from which the roots grow, and it is the main portion of ginger that is consumed. Ginger's current name comes from the Middle English gingivera, but this spice dates back over 3,000 years to the Sanskrit word Singivarium, and excuse my pronunciation, which means horn root, And this is basically based on its appearance. In Greek, it was called zingiberis, and in Latin, it was called zinziberi. And it is very interesting that the whole purpose of the Columbian voyage was to find a new route to Asia and spices. When Columbus crashed into the Americas and the Caribbean, these areas were later used to grow spices such as ginger, clove, and cardamom and cinnamon. I suggest, if you want a full exploration into the history of spice, to read Spice, The History of Temptation by Jack Turner. This book is a very interesting take on how spices literally shape the modern world. Spices push discoveries and what the culinary habits were from ancient times through to the Renaissance. Something I find interesting as a Wikipedian, meaning I try to contribute to Wikipedia, which everybody can do, you just have to get an account, is that information on herbs, while excellent in terms of botany, history, and such, when it comes to medicinal information, they constantly say there is no evidence as to the efficacy of botanical medicine, with one article as reference. In the book Medical Herbalism by David Hoffman, which is a recommended text for the Botanical Medicine Study course starting in early 2023, if you go to this book and you look up ginger in the herbal section at the back of the book, there are 266 references on how ginger is an effective medicinal herb. I've also given a link in the program notes to a ScienceDirect page on the research articles on Gingerbread officinalis and its effect on health. In Ayurveda, ginger is called shunti, and apologies for my Hindi pronunciation. It is quite popular in many healing teas and is found in half of all traditional Ayurvedic formulas. It is used to harmonize the digestion. In Chinese medicine, there are 3 types of ginger which have different properties. The first type of Chinese approach to ginger is called shenjiang, which is fresh ginger. According to tradition, the root is supposed to be harvested before the winter solstice. It is considered pungent and warm and has an affinity for the lung, spleen, and stomach. This form of the herb is used to help release exterior cold patterns, and it is good for upset stomachs and wet chest colds, meaning it will help dry out the phlegm in the chest. It also means this is a great herb to drink regularly in your teas as a preventative for those exterior cold patterns. The second way Chinese use ginger medicinally is called ganjiang, and this is dried ginger. This ginger is considered hot and spicy, where the fresh ginger is considered warm. This form of ginger enters the heart, lung, spleen, and stomach. It rescues devastated yang, which I think is much more appropriate than placing external male genitalia in a red UV chamber. But this is my take on the situation if you need to rescue your yang. This form of the herb also warms the lung, helps stomach pains due to cold, and also helps stop uterine bleeding due to cold. Another digression from a frustrated Wikipedian herbalist, naturopath, and acupuncturist. When articles state there is no evidence that ginger helps stop uterine bleeding, one has to understand that Chinese diagnosis is very specific and detailed, and one can have all sorts of conditions for different reasons. Bleeding in general can be from heat, it can be from excess or deficiency or from cold, which is why one has to understand the nature of the herbs, all of their qualities, as well as their chemistry, and how they were traditionally applied to be successful in treatment. Ephedra is an excellent example. It was never intended for weight loss, but Western business interests thought it would be good for that. So it was sold as a weight loss remedy. And people who are obese tend to have high blood pressure and heart problems. So taking ephedra raises blood pressure, and there you have it. Everyone thinks ephedra is a dangerous herb and needs to be regulated, while the Chinese have been using it for thousands of years with no heart attacks because they used it properly. So this is my last digression for this week on how important it is to know what you are doing in terms of herbal medicine. The last way the Chinese use ginger is to dry fry it. Slices are dry fried in a wok until slightly blackened. This form of ginger is called pao jiang and is considered bitter, astringent, and warm. This form enters the liver and spleen and helps stop bleeding associated with cold from deficiency. One of the most delicious and common ways to take ginger is through tea. You can slice up the fresh root, boil it for about 5 minutes, and I suggest cutting it in about 1/4-inch slices, and this does the trick. You can also take it in capsule form by itself, and in Ayurveda as well as Chinese medicine, ginger is usually part of some sort of formula and usually for either colds, flus, or stomach issues. And ginger, is our understanding in Western and modern herbalism, ginger is considered a warming herb, a carminative, which means it aids in digestion. And it also has antispasmodic properties and can cause sweating, which is usually desirable, especially in cold and flu remedies. You want to break a sweat to lower temperatures for fevers. Ginger is a wonderful herb for those who suffer from seasickness and motion sickness in general. And there are really good ginger candies on the market, or you can simply get some candied ginger and enjoy it throughout your trip. In one study, it was proven more effective than over-the-counter medicines for motion sickness. You can also put a slice of fresh ginger over your belly button and lie down on a couch if you're feeling sick at your stomach. Again, for morning sickness with pregnancy, it depends on what type of morning sickness you have. I suggest getting diagnosed by an acupuncturist or a naturopath before taking ginger for this condition. It can help in some cases and actually harm in others. So please consult your herbal professional in such cases. The main constituent of ginger root is an essential oil, which gives it its spicy, warm quality, which has some great chemicals that also will help you get rid of all sorts of letters in your Scrabble game. Sesquiterpenes, zingiberin, and beta-bisabolene are some of them. The essential oil by itself is very concentrated, and I suggest cutting the essential oil with a carrier oil such as almond, avocado, grapeseed, or olive before putting this on your body. The essential oil of ginger has all the basic properties of ginger, meaning it's good for digestion, muscle spasms, and such. Ginger syrup is nice to have on hand, especially for those rich, overindulgent meals, festivals, and parties we're all enjoying at this time of year. If you want a quicker fix than boiling the root for tea, a few tablespoons of ginger syrup in warm water is a nice way to take this healing plant. The syrup is easy to make. You basically make a very strong tea with lots of fresh ginger, and then you strain it and add sugar or honey to thicken it, and there you have it. I've included a nice recipe link in the notes. Ginger is a lovely spice and a great addition to both your kitchen cabinet as well as your medicine cabinet. I hope you have a delicious and healthy holiday season. Until next time, this is Stephanie Georgia saying thanks for sharing your time with me, and be well.